Hey, welcome to the ArtMaster channel. Today we'll be drawing Vegito Super Saiyan Blue Super Saiyan. To begin drawing this character, we'll start as always using some guidelines that will help us accommodate the features of the drawing. We're going to use first a vertical line and then a horizontal line that will shape some sort of a cross. Then we'll add two diagonal lines that will shape a sort of triangle, and these will help us to make the face more centered. Once these guidelines are set, we can actually begin with the sketch. We will begin with the chin, and we'll use the diagonal lines that we made to properly center the jawline. This face in particular is quite symmetrical, so try and keep it even on both sides. Then we're gonna start doing the eyebrows, and as you can see, they both start from the center line, then going outwards. We'll then do the eyes that cannot go below the horizontal line, and also that applies to the frown. We then move to the iris, and then we'll move to the nose and the mouth that need to be centered, so use that central vertical line as the middle point for both of them. After this, we can outline the forehead so that we have a better place for the placement of the ears. The ears will begin a little bit above the eyebrows, and they will finish by the same point where the nose begins. As always, try to keep things symmetrical. Then we'll do the expression lines under the eyes, which are quite important, and then we can finally move to do the both locks that fall from his forehead over the eyes. One of these locks will fall directly above the frown, so it will partially cover it. We keep adding some expression lines. I'll correct a few things that I didn't like about the mouth, and then we'll move directly into the inner details of the ear. And I know you're probably thinking, but ArtMaster, Vegito has earrings, why aren't you drawing them? And just bear with me, I just like to have the sketch a little bit more complete, and then I'll draw them for sure. We'll add a few more expression lines underneath his lip and these lines on his fringe. After this, we can begin working on the neck and shoulder, and as we all know, Dragon Ball Super characters are super beefy, so don't be afraid of the voluptuous nature and roundness of their muscles, because we don't want to end up with a very, slender Vegito. After the shoulders are done, we can move into detailing the pecs, and we'll add these lines that go up the neck, that way it doesn't look weird or off in any way. After this is done, we can move forward with the details of the clothing. And to start working on the folds of the clothing, please try to make sure, again, that is symmetrical, that way it doesn't look off by the end. Okay, now it's time for the earrings. To do this, first we begin with the main ring on the earlobe, and then we'll continue it with 3 tiny little balls. After that, we do like a miniature hat, and we finish off the shape of the pendant. Hey look, we have the face and the torso done. So now we have to work on the hair. Okay, it's going to be a very long process. You have to be careful. It's quite hard to explain the shape of these locks. I kind of refer them to as curved triangle. And as always, you can look at a bunch of bananas or an artichoke to have some sort of reference. Once you're convinced with all the hair that you draw, and after you went about and correcting any imperfections, we can start drawing these lines for the locks themselves, which are quite important. These are not very hard to do, and there's no particular pattern to follow. You can either do them from the tip to the center or from the center to the tip. So just relax and do them as you prefer. They're gonna be looking awesome either way. Once all the lines inside the locks are done, we can say that the sketch is completed. After this, we gotta move on with the line art, and I use ink pens that go up to 1 millimeter. Sometimes I do use thicker strokes because I think that the end result pops more, so to speak. If you want to have the same effect, just redo the layers a couple of more times, but again, be super careful with this step, because if we mess up, trying to correct it is gonna be super difficult. Once this is done, leave it out to dry up to some 5 minutes or so, and then you can use your eraser to give it more of a refined look. After this is done, we are ready for the next and final step, which is in fact coloring. For this step, I'll use alcohol-based markers, and we'll use at least 4 different shades for the skin tone of the character. We can start with a different shade of brown for some very deep and intense shadows, and then moving forward to a more clear skin tone for the lighter details. When painting skin, I tend to use Copics markers because I do think they have the best different shades in the market. I will leave the color code in the description box below for you to browse. Honestly, I do think that this is going to be super helpful if you're starting out, because when I was starting out, I always lost my mind trying to figure out which color code artists were using when it came to alcohol markers. So I really hope that this information helps you out and, skip some of the more tedious processes in finding the correct material that you want to use. Something that I did not want to forget to mention is that as you can see, I am applying different shades quite quickly because I don't want the previous layer to dry before I apply the next one. That way they can combine way better without making a mess. One thing that I've been trying lately and that I enjoy is that I start with the darkest color first and then I go to the lighter tone, because I do think that the shade work and the shadow work end up looking quite better in my opinion, so try it out and see if it works out for yourself. Another thing of note is that the paper that we use will clearly either help us or hinder us in our process, and it's very important. I'm using a Copic paper that is tailor-made for Copic markers so that the end result will pop and look amazing. So what I do recommend is try different types of paper until you find the one that suits best for your style. For this, we can use a light shade of gray and a darker shade of gray. And for the pendants themselves, we're going to use different shades of yellow from darker to lighter. Now, for the hair, we're going to use 4 shades of blue. The first blue that we're going to use, that is going to be the darkest one, is kind of like a greenish turquoise color, and then some sky blue for some different sort of accents. We'll complement that blue with a lighter shade of blue that doesn't really make a lot of difference, but when we combine the ice blue at the end for the highlights, it's gonna look amazing. As you can see, the same technique that we used on the skin is applied to the coloring of the hair. As always, please leave in the comments down below which is your favorite Dragon Ball character. It can be from any of the series. And of course, if there's a bunch of repeating names, we'll make a poll and then we'll do some voting. And whoever comes on top, I'll probably use that to draw it on the channel. So yeah, there you go. For the iris color, we're gonna be using the same color that we used for the hair. Hey look, we're almost done. The last thing to color in is the clothing. We'll start with the inner shirt that he has, and for this we're gonna use a different shade of orange. For this we'll use 3 different shades. A normal orange, a darker brown, and a lighter orange, and that will do the job. We're nearly there. Now we have to color the blue part of the clothing and we're done. For this, we'll start using a gray color that is going to help a lot with the shadow work and to accentuate the blue colors that we're going to use later on. After finishing with the different shades of blue, I think we can confidently say that this drawing is complete and that I can show it to you guys. I really hope that you liked it, and I really hope that this tutorial helped you in any way to improve your skill. Please don't forget to leave a comment, to subscribe. It really does help out a lot, guys. And follow me on social media so you can follow and see what are the newest drawings that I'm doing. I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye!
Thank you.